Today, people of all ages are learning how much fun they can have and how many physical benefits they can get when they discover the world of volleyball. Not only is this sport popular all over the globe, but you can get up a fast, fun game of volleyball in a variety of places, indoors or out. All it takes is a little open space, a ball, some people who like to have fun, and you've got a game. The basic rules are simple and, with few exceptions, apply to most variations of the game. When you play volleyball, you can take it as easy or as hard as you want. The same sport that helps everyone have a great time at a family reunion is played with astonishing athletic skills at the Olympic level.
Soviets in trouble. There's a chance for the United States to grab the advantage. They set. Can they lock it up here? There it is! Fortune! And the United States defeats the Soviet Union 16-14 in Game 5.
The thing I like the most about the game of volleyball is it's a combination between power and finesse.
You know, you can't go out and just be, a monster and be all power, or go out and just be all finesse. You got to have both aspects. You got to be able to be really smooth and to be able to pass the ball, but you also have to have the power to hit and block. So it takes both aspects to be able to be a good volleyball player, I think.
Volleyball is a great physical activity for the entire family. As long as the talent is evenly distributed between teams, players of different ability can have fun. Another big reason for volleyball's appeal is that everyone who wants to play can play in every position. Unlike sports where some participants only touch the ball by accident, volleyball players rotate through all positions, so everyone gets to share the fun. No single player can control a game, no matter how big or strong or athletically gifted he or she might be. The fact is, volleyball may demand more communication and interaction, more teamwork than any sport. So the winning team may not have better players, but players who have learned to work better together, from beginners to Olympic level.
When you first watch the sport, that it's more of a sport that a lot more girls do play, like at the college level and the high school level, than boys. But you go out and play and you realize that it is a power sport. And I'll challenge any football guy to come out and let them try and dig some of our hits, and they'll realize that it's not a game that girls play. It's a power game.
My neighborhood was predominantly all football players. I live in a neighborhood where football and basketball were the main sports. And people who played volleyball, they were kind of frowned upon as being sissies. So that was kind of the main reason why I kind of stayed away from volleyball till really late in life. But after I got hit in the face with a ball, it's not a sissy sport anymore.
Now, let's look at a variety of ways you can enjoy volleyball. Co-ed volleyball is rapidly growing in popularity. Typically, men do the spiking and blocking, while the women do setting and defense, although the rules certainly allow the women to hit or block. Beach or sand volleyball, played with 2, 3, or 4 on a side, is a great game to help the players develop all skills, as shots have to be performed more frequently. This is volleyball. Volleyball on a racquetball court. In this game, the ball can hit one side wall and remain in play. Consequently, the game requires a different approach in your thinking about offense and defense. Almost everyone has played volleyball at one time or another, so you probably need only a quick refresher on the rules. The ball is put into play with a serve. The player who serves must stay behind the end line until he or she hits the ball. To be legal, the served ball must travel over the net without touching it and drop inbounds. For competition, the inbounds areas are marked lines. Lines are considered inbounds. For recreation, corner markers can serve to outline imaginary lines in the sand or grass. The team receiving the ball can hit the ball back over the net on the first, second, or third contact. Often during rallies at high levels of play, the first touch is a dig, or ball touched by a blocker. The second is a set. And the third is a spike or attack shot. Players may hit the ball with any part of their body above the waist, but they cannot let the ball visibly come to rest. One rule variation of what is considered a first touch or hit occurs when a player touches the ball while blocking. Except in men's pro beach doubles, the team is still allowed 3 additional hits to get the ball over the net. Except when serving, the ball can touch the net and remain in play, but players are never allowed to touch the net. In outdoor competition, players can go under the net as long as they don't interfere with any opponent's play. Indoors, a player cannot touch the floor on the opposing side of the net. In most competitive events, only the team serving can score points. They get a point each time the non-serving team fails to return the ball or commits a rule violation. If the serving team fails to return the ball during a rally, the opponent wins a side out, which means they're given the next serve and can attempt to score. A team keeps the serve until the other team scores a side out. In most games, the winner is the first team to reach 15 points and be at least 2 points ahead. The team victorious in 2 out of 3 games, or in some competitions, 3 out of 5 games, wins the match. A new scoring variation has been instituted at the collegiate level and above, called rally scoring. This is done only in the 5th game of a 3 out of 5 match. During rally score, a point is scored on every serve. Thus, a side out is also a point. These are the basic rules. However, in some cases, rules are added or modified to suit a type of game or the conditions. At most levels of play, the rules require the players to rotate after each side out. This means players need to learn each of the 6 basic skills. At high levels, players specialize in positions, but must still rotate on side outs. The 6 basic skills are the serve, which puts the ball into play. The player receiving the serve then passes the ball to a teammate who sets or puts the ball into position for a player to spike or attack the ball. The other 2 basic skills are defensive. The dig descriptively defines the technique used to keep the ball from hitting the floor or ground, and the block, which players use to keep their opponent's attack shots from crossing the net or to funnel a spike toward a specific digger or area. It's legal to serve the ball in a variety of ways, but it's a good idea for new players to learn the underhand serve first. On all serves, the ball must be clear of the tossing hand before you make contact. Although it's generally a good idea for beginners to learn the underhand serve, you can improve your game by learning the overhand serve, jump serve, and float serve. For the overhand serve, start by taking a position at least 1 full stride back from the end line. Your feet should be spread shoulder width apart. The foot opposite your serving hand should be in front of the other. Lift the ball into the air, cock your arm behind your head, and extend the elbow as you hit. Strike the ball with a very stiff palm. The follow-through can be like a high five or continue toward the hip area.
First of all, the serve is probably the most important skill at the high school level because it starts the game, and also teams are successful if they serve tough in a match. So it's very important for the high school kids to develop a good serve.
When learning to serve, be sure to swing your arm fast enough for the ball to go over the net. If an error is made, it is better to make the mistake of hitting the ball too hard and out of bounds than to hit it into the net. This is because when the ball goes over the net, Your opponents must get to the ball and decide whether to return it. They might try to return a ball that would have landed out of bounds. But if you serve into the net, the other team gets a side out without moving a muscle. The jump serve is effective because many players can hit the ball from a point above the net so that it moves more quickly into the opponent's court. You must start further away from the end line with this serve to allow for your normal jump approach. Toss the ball higher than an overhead serve and in front of you. Jump as high as you can and hit the ball as hard as you can with topspin and control. The more topspin you create, the harder you can serve. Be sure to follow through to the target. A player may legally land on the court after contacting this serve in the air. For a float serve, hit the center of the ball, which helps keep the ball from spinning. When the ball isn't spinning, it floats and drifts like a knuckleball in baseball. As a result, it tends to dance around and make sudden changes of direction, which makes it more difficult to pass.
The most important thing with the jump serve as well as the float serve is the toss. I think that's where you run into most of the problems with your jump serve is you toss it too high, too low, maybe too far behind you, and you don't get the consistent contact point.
Well, you got to make sure you toss the ball in front of you. That's supposed to be behind you or to either side of the center line, and you want to make sure you make the contact with the ball at a specific height. That's opposed to letting your arm drop down or to either side.
Good servers can put the other team into a difficult position by serving the ball to an area where it will be hard to pass or that will disrupt the opponent's offense. The pass is used to receive the serve. The goal is to direct the ball to the setter with a minimum of arm movement.
When you're talking about the passing skill, what you want to start off with is have good solid base with your feet. You're going to contact the ball in a low base. Now also your feet are going to be on the toes of your feet ready to move. My hands are out. When the ball comes, my hands will come together, and I'll grasp them, and I'll get the ball. I'm going to contact it right in this area right here on a nice flat surface. When it comes, I'll be pushing the ball up, contacting it. My elbows do not bend. A lot of times we have girls go like this. Okay, you want to keep them straight and just get it in a low area.
Passing, I think, besides serving, it's the most important skill as far as running an effective offense. If you have a perfect pass, then it's like running a triple option. You have all the options available. But if you have a bad pass, your setter has only one option, and that's to set a high ball to the outside. So the defense on the other side, they're just gang up everybody in one hitter.
I think also on defense, your goal is mainly to pop the ball high up in the air in the middle of the court to where you can get the setter under it and just get a good swing out of it. Whereas a passer, Alan's trying to put the ball in about a 3-foot radius, make a perfect pass right to the net where we can run all three options.
The main goal of a set is to send the ball upward to an area for your teammate to spike or attack. To do this, move your feet to the point where the ball is headed and turn in the direction you are setting. Feet spread comfortably apart. Move the hands up in front of your forehead, and as the pass nears your forehead, form your fingers into a shape the size of the ball. As the ball touches your hands, let your fingers bend backwards slightly. Then immediately extend your fingers to give a springboard effect to the ball as you extend your arms fully to send it floating up into the air. Setting is one of the key skills in volleyball. A good setter operates much like the quarterback of a football team or the point guard in basketball, determining who should get the ball on offense.
The setter is the quarterback, and it's the guy that's running the offense and telling the hitters where to go and what kind of set to hit. And it's basically the leader of the team, and he carries the offense and sometimes helps a lot on defense too. The key for the setter is you got to get to the spot before the ball gets there. So you kind of get a feel for where the ball is going to be passed. You get to that point and get in your ready position with your hands high and never let the ball drop behind behind, below your forehead. You don't want to be setting the ball from your face and from your chest, but you want to be setting it up high. And always facing towards your power hitter, which in this case will be the left front hitter.
A back set is a good way to confuse or freeze the other team's blockers. Players expect the ball to be set forward, but at the last moment, you, the setter, set the ball over your head and into position for an attack from the player behind you.
I'll say that the difference between the front set and the back set, it's for the back set, I usually drop my head back and kick my hip forward, so I can really shoot the ball back really fast. It's really fast movement because you want to keep the blockers off balance, okay? And with the front set, you go straight up, and in the last second you shoot your hands forward fast enough so you can, as I mentioned before, keep the block off balance. So that's what you're trying to do basically with the front and the back set.
No matter if you're setting front set, a back set, a short set, a high set, you always want it to look the same. So when the other teams look at the film, they can't really say, well, when he back sets, he'll do this and do that. If he front sets, he'll do this and do that. But as a great setter is someone that can just do the same movement, but be able to set all different sets without anybody, picking up any little details.
Advanced setters also learn how to set the ball low and quick. A good setter also can keep the opponent off guard by using the second ball attack. The setter appears to be on the verge of setting the ball, but suddenly spikes or tips the ball down, known as a dump shot. This can be done only from above net height when the setter is a front row player. And in emergencies, you'll need to know how to save the ball and set it one-handed, the underhand bump set. The spike, or attack, is one of the most dramatic plays in volleyball and one of the most fun to practice and learn. Generally, you should start about 10 to 15 feet from the net so that the setter can put the ball between you and the net. As the ball is set, take 3 steps. For right-handers, left, right, left. Then jump as high as you can, swinging both arms upward. The key is the right-left finish, or left-right for lefties. Cock your spiking arm behind your head, elbow pointing up. The arm movement is like that of throwing. Try to hit the ball when it's slightly in front of your head and at your highest point. Bring the arm straight forward with the elbow leading until hitting the ball with a slightly cupped hand. Snap the wrist forcefully over the top of the ball to create topspin and additional speed. Follow through to the thigh or hip area.
There are a few keys to spiking that I think are very important. One is you always want to contact the ball high. You always want to hit the ball as high over the net as you possibly can. Hitters tend to get in trouble and get blocked when they hit low to the tape and they allow the blocker's hands to get on the ball when they're penetrating, and you get blocked a lot that way. I think also another important aspect of spiking is you always want to make sure you make good contact with the ball, striking the midline of the ball and snapping over the top with your wrist and getting good topspin so you can hit high and the ball will topspin into the court.
You want to try and stay behind the ball so that you can reach it at that, optimal contact point, where if you get a little too far in front of the ball, you're going to have to reach back, and as Bob said, you can't get the good topspin and reach, as high as you possibly can. Yeah, and you can't, if you keep the ball out in front of you, you can see the whole court, you can see the block. It just makes it, a lot easier for yourself to hit high and to see the block. And I think just to start late and then approach fast is a key. Where if you start fast, then you lose all your momentum to the ball. But if you start late and go fast, then you can stay behind the ball and hit it at that perfect contact point.
When you're practicing your spikes, is instead of concentrating hitting the ball hard, straight down, just concentrating hard in deep corners, okay? Because you're going to have big blockers that are going to be penetrating over the net. and you won't be able to hit it straight down because it's going to block you on your side. But if we can get our kids to start working on their deep shots, try to hit the block or hit around the block, you get better results that way as opposed to just concentrating straight down.
As you progress, you can start learning several attacking techniques that will keep your opponents off stride. The tip is usually a one-handed contact in which the player uses the fingertips to tap the ball gently into an open area of the court. Another variation of changing speeds on the attack produces the off-speed shot. Instead of hitting the ball very hard or very easy, the player hits a medium-speed shot to an open area. Another very advanced skill is the wipe-off spike, in which the attacker tries to hit the ball off the blocker's hands and out of bounds.
I think another thing that younger players should realize too is that while spiking is kind of like a slam dunk in basketball, it looks really neat, it's a good feeling to do it, but I think there are other aspects of the game that are just as important, if not more important, such as blocking or serving or passing. And while the hitter may be kind of the glamour role, it's defense and passing and blocking that are going to, I think, win you the games. And so I think you really have to concentrate on the other fundamentals too, instead of just going out and let's go hit some balls.
When you learn blocking, remember that your first job is to stay out of the net. Jump straight up so your defense can position itself. The next goal is to take away the hitter's favorite shot. Then attempt to block the ball.
The whole object of being a middle blocker is to close the hole so that the hitter can't hit between the two of you, and the defense can dig around you. The whole idea is to take a spot away from the court that you know you're definitely not going to dig.
When the ball is set by your opponents, look at the hitter, not the ball, to see where the ball will be hit. Read the hitter's approach to determine where you should jump. Remember, you can do a good job blocking and never touch the ball by channeling the ball to a teammate or by forcing a hitting error.
The key to blocking isn't so much in your hands as it's in your feet. You got to make sure that you're in the proper position in front of the hitter so that you don't have to adjust with your hands so that you're in the proper position. And the key is watching your hitter instead of watching the ball too much. If you watch the ball, you're not tracking your hitter. If you watch the hitter, you can watch it, his arm swing and really key on what he's doing and try and figure out, which way he's going to hit the ball. And the best way of doing that is by looking at the hitter and not the ball. And you want to try and, obviously penetrate the net as much as possible. You can take a bigger area by getting over the net as opposed to reaching high.
If you penetrate the net, no matter how high, you're going to eliminate a lot of the shots that the offensive player has.
When players on the front line can't block the shot, it's up to the people in the back to use the dig as the last line of defense. The dig perfectly describes the skill of getting to the ball and digging it out of the air just before it hits the floor. To master this skill, you need to learn how to read and react, which means watching the opposing players as well as your own blockers and anticipating where the ball will be hit. Begin in a low, ready position, and as the ball is hit, move to the ball. Keep your arms parallel to the floor as you dig. Also, make sure that the arms move through the ball so that you dig the ball up. Practice taking a quick shuffle into the ready position or scoot backwards or sideways to get into the ready position before making the dig. Try to beat the ball to a spot on the floor. As the ball is set, assume the ball is coming to you. Whether you move forward or scoot backwards, keep your head level so that you can read the attacker's intentions. Remember to keep your eyes on the player making the play, not on the ball he or she is about to contact. Reading and anticipating are the key elements to playing good defense.
I think very important about playing defense, you have to have the proper frame of mind. That's that no ball's going to hit the floor. So you got to be very, very aggressive and go after every ball, and that will pay off for you.
Especially for the tall players like myself, the key is to be down low before the ball is hit. And I think that was the biggest part of improvement myself on defense is learning to be down low before the ball is hit, and that way you get a little head start where the shorter guys are already down there and they don't have as much in a distance to drop down. But if you start down low and early, it really helps.
The key is quickness. Great athletes have the ability to cover more ground with less effort than the rest of us, and great volleyball defenders can take a few quick, cat-like steps to move swiftly into position. Now, some variations on digging the ball that top players learn to execute. Use the collapse or half roll to play a ball that falls within a step of your starting position. Get your body in front of the ball, contact with both arms, cushion the hard-hit ball, and modify the angle of your arms as necessary to keep the ball in play. This is a dig made by staying on your feet and running to the ball, digging it, and continuing your run through the area. The digger never stops but runs through the ball. The roll is a technique used to get a ball too far away to run through. Use the dive to retrieve a ball at a long distance. Use one or two hands to dig the ball off the ground and then recover as quickly as possible. Whatever your goals, whether you want to learn how to play well enough to participate at the high school or college level or beyond, or if you just want to learn enough to have a good time, this much is certain: it's never too late.
I don't think it's ever too late to start playing volleyball. I think the most important thing when you play volleyball is to have fun. True, I didn't start playing competitively or at all, as a matter of fact, until I took it up as a PE class in college.
I started really late. It wasn't until I got to college that I really started learning the proper techniques of volleyball. So, as it goes to show that, myself and Sammy, we started late, and, we're at this level. It doesn't mean that, other kids out there, they can't do the same. So it's never too late. Like anything in life, as long as your heart, like Samuel said, as long as you have fun, and if your heart's willing to put the work into becoming a good volleyball player, I think anything is possible.